We are starting soon.
Hello and welcome back to the Album Book Club. This week we are reviewing Food by MF Doom. This album came out in 2004 and it's one of my favorite albums of all time. How did you guys feel about this one?
I don't know. I don't want to spoil anything. I liked it.
I just mean general vibe.
Yeah, I liked it. This was my first experience with MF Doom, which was kind of interesting, but I didn't hate it for sure.
All right.
Goated pick.
Yep, it's great.
Love this.
Yeah, I knew these other two would love it. It's a really great album. Well, let's get started with our top three.
Let's get off, guys. We're
Clip
past.
it.
We're past that minute mark. We can do it.
Woohoo!
Nah.
Anyway, my top three are Potholders, Guinnesses, and Rap Snitch Knishes.
Ooh, mine are Conqueso, Rap Snitch, Knishes, and one beer.
Mine is Deep Fried Friends, Rap Snitch Knishes, and Vomit Spit.
Mine is Hoe Cakes, Guinnesses, and Con Queso.
Nice. Now let's get into our bottom song. My bottom song was Gumbo.
Mine was Filet-O Rapper.
Gumbo.
Gumbo.
You know, it was a debate for me on both of these. I was kind of flip-flopping back and forth, but
Yeah.
when we get there, we'll talk about it more. I still don't think it's a bad
There
track.
is no bottom song on this album.
Yeah,
That's
it's
very
so
true.
hard to pick one. Well, let's get right into the first track here, Beef Rap. I gave it an 8 out of 10.
I gave it a 6 out of 10.
Give it an 8.5.
I gave it an 8.
Yeah, I think it's a really solid intro for this album. It introduces you to a lot of like the theming that's going to be happening. You get the cool little clips at the end. It has a really good beat. But the one criticism I do kind of have of the song is that it takes a second to really get into it. I feel like it's about 2 minutes of kind of empty space and ad-libbing.
It's a minute 49.
A minute 49.
I have it written down.
Well, if you... Go ahead.
No, you're good.
No, that's really all I had for this one. It's just a really solid track, and I think it does a great job at introducing like what we're going to see throughout this album.
Yeah. No, I didn't know if the intro was a plus or minus. I just wrote that there was a minute 49 of it there. I liked how retro all of this was, because I looked it up a little bit just to see what I was getting into, so I knew this was kind of an early 2000s thing, but the whole album kind of has this future retro kind of feeling and very 80s inspired feeling, but at the same time sounds super modern, sounds super crispy. My only real negative on this track is I wish it was a little more bass heavy. I think that's for most of the album.
That's fair. I think I knew going in that it was kind of a concept album of like being a cartoon from the 80s or 90s.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of what this was. This was the announcer at the beginning of a cartoon explaining what was going on a little bit. It did exactly what it's supposed to. And I mean, the beats throughout this are great, but
Yeah, I do think we're in the wrong era of cartoon. I would say this is definitely more 60s. We're leaning towards that old Thor, that old Iron Man, that old Fantastic Four show, the original Spider-Man show, because that's when you had that like Casey Kasem style announcer. And Carl, you're so right. This to me is like watching the Blu-ray of that show. So it's like just very crisp and modern, but also has all of that old touch and feel. Doom is just a phenomenal lyricist. It's got that like Anthony Kiedis touch where it's just all the words kind of go together and maybe a little nonsensical. It's just so great. Also, I love the outro on like all of the tracks, so I'm gonna say it every time because it deserves it.
I think he does a really good job with all the outros here, especially kind of weaving in the story. Like this is just a good intro to the story and what we're getting into. But I think like the comic book, early comic TV show inspired thing is really cool.
Hold on real quick. Carl, how many seconds of the intro did you say it had? Because you wrote it down.
I wrote a minute 49 was just the intro.
A minute 48 was a sample from the 1983 movie Wild Style.
Nice.
I wrote down some of the samples, not all of them, but
They're all
That's it.
awesome.
I couldn't find half of them because half the time there's a sample. It's from another project of his that he just ripped it from. So
Yeah, sometimes it happens. Well, let's get into song number 2, Hoe Cakes. I gave it an 8.5 out of 10.
I'll give this one a 7.
give it a 9.
I gave this a 10.
All right, it has a legendary beat. Like it goes so hard. I love the way the beat comes forward and kind of joins in the lyrics. And the comic book stuff at the end gets like especially cool because it leans into something that we see in the next song. Because it's like, how are you going to get back into New York? Logan, you and I were talking about this a little bit in the car. MF Doom was actually an accidental, like, illegal immigrant in the U.S. in New York, and when he traveled out of the country, he had a really hard time getting back in. Which, cool reference to, like, that little tidbit of his life, but also the next feature comes from New York. So in the story, the character of MF Doom is, like, getting smuggled into New York to try and take over the world.
Cool. My only note is that the sample's out of time, and it drives me absolutely nuts. It's just that it loops, and it doesn't loop quite right a couple of times, and then the middle of the sample kind of stretches and pulls, and like it could have been chopped up to fit. I get that that's not the thing. Whoever did the beatboxing just kind of did it and looped it, but yeah, it threw me for a big loop.
I don't think I wrote it down, but it is a sample from something. There were like 3 listed, and I wrote most of them down, but not that one. But the first note on here is no skit, all song, and that was completely wrong. There's a skit at the end. But yeah, you had me going back and looking. I misheard you. I thought you said there was a feature on this song.
No, it's the
The
next,
next
track.
song.
Yeah, this is the first of many times we hear super.
This track is super.
Yeah, it's Super. King Koopa is mentioned. And Carl, you're exactly right. This is like so out of time. It's almost awful, but it's got so much feel to it. And so I took the approach that way, where it's like he just poured his heart out, and timing was timing. And then also, this is to me like the song where the concept kicks in the hardest. I mean, the last track, yeah, it's there, but this is where it kicked in the hardest. And it was just very fun. I like the old cartoony Fantastic Four stuff that's going on. It's great, and the title's great.
Mr. Fantastic comes in a lot later. You're a little early.
They're in this early. Maybe not Mr. Fantastic, but they're all the Fantastic Four storyline starts now.
I was making a joke about the feature later,
Oh,
Mr. Fantastic.
Just you
I
wait.
completely forgot about that.
Yeah.
Just wait.
Well, I think that brings us into the third song on the album, Potholders, featuring Count Bass D. I gave this one a 10 out of 10.
I give this one an 8.
We're on potholes, right?
Yeah.
Or holders. I guess a 9.
I give this one an 8.5.
Sorry, we were looking. The tripod is almost sideways.
It's like sassy girl pose.
I don't know how that happened.
That's hilarious. Okay, the flow on this one from both of them. Oh my gosh, it's insane. And the line that transitions from Count Bass D into MF Doom, the "Don't forget your potholders" was stuck in my head for literal days. I could not get this beat out of my head. I couldn't stop hearing it. It's just something that I'm never really gonna forget. It's something that I'm never gonna not love. So there's just a immense joy I get getting to listen to this song again.
Nice. This is the point in the album where I started getting it. This is when it all started making sense. It's not that the last 2 songs were bad. It's just this is the one that is
the most songy.
Yes, a song. Yeah, it's finally a song. The lyrics are also super clever, and that for me to hear lyrics on one listen is pretty impressive most of the time. So
Yeah, nobody brought it up yet, but there's almost a transition between this or from the last song into this one, and I don't think it was supposed to be there, but it's close enough that it like had me whip my head around a little bit to make sure it actually made it to the next song.
I feel like a lot of transitions in this album are kind of seamless, like, in a weird way. Not
I didn't
like
catch a lot of them, but there is a lot, like you're saying.
yeah, like the breaks of like comic book stuff we get really work as like, oh, this is all just one big flowing
I
piece.
say it's seamless when you take it like you're watching a TV program.
Yeah.
This one wasn't like that though. This one was a drum beat into an almost the same drum beat that was just different enough that you're like, was that on purpose?
You know what? I think you're right.
But it was so cool. And then I haven't brought it up yet, but the lyrics on all of them are great, especially this one. But every time there's a feature, the flow is always a 10 from everyone involved. It's insane. But yeah, the beat's doesn't have a lot going on, but it's super cool and memorable just for like it's just a little plucked guitar. It's not doing too much, but it sticks with you.
Yeah, frankly, I think this song was just a tragic loss to the placement coming right after Hoe Cakes. It just the beat came way back from me, and yeah, the featured flow. Oh my gosh. I did want to, Carl, you were talking about some of the lines. I did write down, you either be in a coffin or you be the new guy. And that is one of the most valid lines I've ever heard. And then the end of it is pretty much just a diss on kind of the music industry and how terrible and toxic it kind of was. And, like, you know, putting in all this time for almost no money and almost no respect. It's just a really good message, and I dig it.
All right, we good?
Yeah.
All right, on to track number 4, One Beer. I gave this one an 8.5 out of 10.
I also give this one an 8.5 out of 10.
Gave this one a 9.
Give this one a 9.5.
Ooh. I think the like pseudo drunk singing in the beginning is very funny. I thought the bit was really well done. And when everything comes in and you kind of get like the ascension, it's weird, but it's really cool. And I think the amount of story in this one is also just like crazy.
It can be a bit jarring because it is like 2.5 minutes
It's
of
like
it.
2 full minutes.
I very much like it, but I very much understand the dislike for it.
I just liked the drums this time. That's why I got a better score. The drums the first time are good, and then it changes up to another sample, and those are good, and then it goes back to the first sample, and then there's another drum sample, and they're all actually good. So that made me happy.
Yeah, I think this one has, or the part of the beat that like blew up on TikTok is not even my favorite part of this beat or the song itself. The part right after it where it's not the vocals in the background that's being sampled, I like that even more. I didn't want to give this a 10 because it was the TikTok song, but it's still great. There's a reason it's blown up. It's weird that it's blown up now though.
I think somebody took the background and put it on something else. I
Was
think
it something. I thought it was just this.
Well, no. I think like somebody took that clip like of the beat. Like the beat is going viral, not the whole song. I don't think.
Oh, I thought it was everything.
Oh, I haven't seen too much of like the whole song. I've just seen like the like singing part in the background.
Let me rephrase. It was a little bit ago, not like right this second, but not too long ago. It was kind of popping off again because there was another one on this album that did the same thing even longer ago.
Yeah,
but
Yeah. Great song. Flow yet again, unmatched. And this is where it really kicked in how close to nostalgic but far away it was, because it's very 60s 70s theme, but it doesn't feel like it's trying to make me feel like I should be, feeling nostalgic. It's just like, here's a shout out to the time before, and I like that. There's also a great line where he says, "How's there only one left when they come in a pack of 6?" That's great. And yeah, the 2 minutes worth of story at the end, it felt good because it was just like a little reset, a little refresh. Just listen and enjoy.
And this one did have like a bit of a transitionary thing. This one I caught it. This one felt like there was like an intentional transition between songs for me.
Oh, yeah. We'll get to it, but I know exactly why. Yeah.
All right, well, let's get into track number 5, Deep Fried Friends. I gave this one a 7.5 out of 10.
I also gave this one a 7.5.
Yo, me and Carl in solidarity tonight.
This is weird.
I gave this one a 10.
I give this an 8.75.
I understand the 10. This is like an
Valid.
absolutely amazing beat and an amazing flow. I just wasn't as attached to this one. I feel like I like some other songs on here more. I like some other beats on here a little bit more. And then divulging into Doom's entire backstory at the end is hilarious. And just the I know who Doom is. That little clip where he's cutting him off, I like died laughing. I was like, I forgot that was in here.
Go ahead if you want.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I don't have the problem where this isn't my favorite beat on this album. This is by quite a bit my favorite beat on this entire album. It's like the almost commercial break sounding beat. It just goes so hard. And then you were saying the part at the end with it is a sample from the Fantastic Four show. It was so cool.
I wrote that I got like surreal 80s sitcom vibes off of this track. And like it made me want to watch Full House, which then makes me want to watch BoJack Horseman, and I'm not going down that hole again. But no, other than that, the mix is clean and clear, which is super cool to hear something so retro be so crispy. I mean, I complain about the mix almost every show, and it's really not going to happen here. So, kudos.
Yeah, I think you guys have like hit everything I have in my notes. I did write down that I was glazing Doom, and then I immediately wrote that I was valid for it. And just that line of throwing is like met Mr. Fantastic at an arms deal. Wild, just to throw that in there.
Which one's he? Is he the stretchy one?
Yeah,
That makes it even funnier because he has the big arms.
he gets it.
It's just so much fun. There's a lot of feel, a lot of heart, but it's also very, very fun. I don't feel brought down by any of this, even though there's some like sadness to it.
All right. Well, let's get into song number 6, Poo Putt Platter. I gave it a 7 out of 10.
I gave this one a 6.
7.5.
7.5.
All right. So the album kind of falls off the rails here. Not really. It's just we have almost. This is like the commercial break, right? We have 3 tracks in a row that are pretty much just beats with samples. There's no verses on them. So I thought the sample in this one of I Lost an Arm, good, hilarious. I think he does a really good job at pulling in fun samples and cutting them in a way that's funny. And this one, it falls right into the next track because of how similar they are.
I just wrote that it was an interlude plus. I don't feel like there's enough time to develop some of the cool like music concrete stuff that can happen when you're just layering samples and making stuff out of stuff that already exists. I have the same comment about the next 2 as well. That's pretty much it.
Carson hit the nail on the head. This is the start of the commercial breaks. If this whole album is an episode of a cartoon, this and then the next 3 after it are the cartoon after the like kind of backstory that we ended on, and it feels like an interlude for a lot of this, which is why my scores are going to be a little lower, and I'm going to take half a point off for every interlude after this, except for the last one, which goes way back up. But this is also another really cool sample, or like beat sample, whatever.
Yeah. I Lost My Arm. Good. Great sample. And yeah, this is definitely where it is like the commercial break in the TV show. But I think it's almost a cool nod where it's like you have a quick one and then a quick one and a kind of quick one and then just a long one and then you're back into it.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like you're almost flipping through the channels to see if there's something else on or like something close to coming on. You're like, no. Fine, I'll just go back to what I was watching.
Close
and
to
you just
what?
leave it. No. Not yet. I'll get you at the end.
Alright.
But yeah, it's just very fun time.
All right, well, let's get into track number 7, Filet-O Rapper. I also gave this one a 7 out of 10.
I give this one a 5.5.
I give this one a 7.
I gave this one a 7.5.
All right, so I don't know why they invited Chris Rock onto the album, but he's talking about pork butts. It's hilarious. Something like Healthy Beats being like a double entendre in a sample is absolutely wild. Because it's like him requesting beats from the Food album. You know, funny.
I don't know. This one just had a weird exposition. I forgot what word I was looking for. Sorry. This had a weird exposition at the beginning. And I really don't like Filet-O-Fish. They weird me out. McDonald's tartar sauce it can't be good. There's no way it's good. So yeah, if you bring that back to my brain, I probably won't like it.
This is the track that I realized we were on commercial break, and the next track is the one where I decided that each one is going to lose half a point. It's the same thing. It's not long enough to be like a full song. Like one of them will be, but this one did not do it. I mean, it's still a cool beat, but it's not here long enough to actually do anything really.
Yeah, I mean, we've all hit it on the head. It's another great interlude. I do like the That's What You Call Soul Food. And then it's just like there's a whole list of foods that all sounded very, very good to eat.
Pork butts.
Yeah, and then pork butts. Great time. And speaking of commercials, it's time for an Album Book Club one. Did you know that you can buy Album Book Club merch over on our website? We've got these wonderful hoodies, our Album Mug Club mugs, as well as our hats and new zips available. We also got some t-shirts and desk mats as well.
I ain't wearing anything because I'm a fake fan.
Does this just become my favorite zip to wear around because it's the right weight for this time of year?
Yeah, I pretty much wear this hoodie year round.
The zips are my fault. My head won't fit through most hoodie holes. Just real fact.
Get a smaller head.
I wish.
Shave it down a little bit.
Yeah, it's I wear a 3XL hat, so it's a problem, dude.
Good lord.
I'm the guy that makes hats say one size fits most. I'm the one they don't fit.
I wear a snapback.
All right.
It worked out because now we have the zips.
We do. We have the zip.
zips.
Well, let's get into track number 8, Gumbo. I gave this one a 6.5 out of 10.
I also give this one a 6.5.
I gave this one a 6.5 out of 10.
I gave this one a 7.5.
Okay. I think what it is for me, I think the sample is worse for me. I like the beat, but I think the sample could have been better. It's not as funny. It's not as fun, I don't think. But I will say having it tie into eating rappers, that happened. He has multiple lines throughout the album about eating rappers and stuff like that. So that's kind of a neat tie-in. But I agree with you guys on the previous two. It's not quite long enough to develop its own thing.
I think this one's significantly shorter than even the two before it. If
I
I'm
think
not
this
wrong.
one's still well, no, you know what? You're right. The two before it might be a minute 15.
Yeah,
This one's 40 seconds or something like that.
I thought it was just
the other ones
under
were
a minute.
a minute and a half. This one's 50 something.
That's what
That
yeah.
also might be closer.
That's what I thought it was. I might be completely
Here,
wrong
let me-
about that, but
Let me check real quick.
yeah.
We have a comment.
Do we?
Yeah.
Poop Up Platter is 114. Filet-O Rapper is 104. Oh.
I love Doom.
And then Gumbo. Oh yeah, we all love Doom.
a
Gumbo
great-
is
that's a great
49
music.
seconds.
Okay.
Oh, it's even shorter than I thought it was. Cool.
That's probably why I liked it. That's about average, 49 seconds.
Yeah, that is your average time.
Take it or leave it.
Yeah, I really like this beat is the problem. The samples are fine, but I really liked this beat, and I wish it was here for more. But it's still the interlude, so it's still gonna. I already established the rules in the song before, but what did I have? Thought I had something else.
He's better pull out the
Oh.
rules.
No, I still really like this idea of it being a commercial break, and I really hate to drop it to as low as it is because it's a cool idea. But as a song,
Brother, they're your
It's-
scores. Just bump it up.
no.
You are the only one who has control over what you score an album.
What are you talking about? I'm the only one.
No, the Illuminati controls who scores my
Exactly.
No,
albums.
but
Them and also the lizard government living under the
Say,
South Pole.
talking like the lizard government doesn't exist.
They own us.
Oh, you know what? You do have to go into hibernation. I forgot about that.
Exactly.
There's also the ghost that only sometimes inhabits Big Dale. He sort of controls my scores as well.
Yeah. It just reminded me of those like early 2000s infomercials that were just terrible. Like the Head On commercial. You ever seen that?
Head on, apply directly to the forehead.
You got it.
Head on.
And it just says it for like 15 to 30 seconds back to back. But it's
know,
by
you
time it hits at the end, you're like, I kind of miss it.
You can make the wrapper into a sauce.
Dude, you should loop that for 10 hours. You start getting it about hour 3.
Hour 3, I start getting about 5 seconds in. It's like an electro dance song at that point.
No, man. You got to apply it directly to the forehead. That's all I'm saying.
I bet there's a remix of that somewhere on the internet.
If there's not, I feel like there will be tonight.
Hell yeah. All right. Track number 9, Fig Leaf by Carbonate. I gave it an 8 out of 10.
I give this one a 7.5.
8 out of 10.
8 out of 10.
Oh, we're so back. That's exactly how I felt listening to this song. He brings all of the really unique parts of the previous 3 tracks and just makes it into something great. I especially love the sample from the beginning. I have no idea what it is. I wish I knew. It's like the old guy talking about food in the area. Do we know what that is?
I have no idea.
Well, you may be wondering how I eat all this wacky stuff.
It's gotta be like an old school ad or something, right?
I mean, it sounds like it.
I'm not entirely sure all of these are samples.
I would say some of these feel like they were recorded just for this, and this very well could be one of them.
Yeah, because I actually wrote it. I don't know if it's music concrete or not. Because like I really like a lot of that stuff, and I was thinking about it because a lot of it's from around this time period, and that's when we got avalanches and some other stuff going on. Yeah, I wrote I don't know if it is or not, and it's actually even more impressive if it's not because everything really goes together.
Season 3, episode 115. Skip Hunnan as Yul Gibbons in the Electric Company. It's a spoof.
Oh. The Electric Company. That's everywhere in this
I
album.
would say that's all over the place.
Love it.
1974.
Nice.
Yeah, I think Electric Company, from what I was seeing, is the only one on here more than like the Fantastic Four show.
I saw there was a bunch of Zappa on this album too, which is horrifying. I raised this up to an 8 just out of peer pressure. By the way, I marked it out with a
Good.
pen. That's what I was doing.
Yeah, I see. It's an 8 now. Good.
Yeah.
All right. Do we have anything else for this one?
The Thing was here and present. Like very prominently, and I got really excited.
You know what? Is this the one where the like story at the end? Is this the one where he goes, you know what? Put up your weapon. I don't care. Like, put up your laser. I don't care anymore.
I think so.
Because-
we're wrapping up real soon
Yeah,
with the Fantastic Four stuff. It's like within the next 3 songs.
Yeah, because I think the next track has the phaser throughout it, right?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Mhm.
God, I hate the phaser.
Oh, well, let's talk about it. Track number 10, Con Carne. I gave it an 8.5 out of 10.
Give this one an 8.
8.5.
I gave this one a 9.
I thought you said you hated the phaser.
All right. Well, the phaser. I like the noise of it. It was just I could not figure out the timing on it to save my life. Carl, did you figure it out? Is it in like
No, it's-
1624?
No, it's in the track. I just absolutely hated it. That's it. You're calling that a phaser?
I laser something. I don't
Yeah,
know.
okay. Because a phaser is a guitar pedal. It doesn't sound like that.
No, I meant
No,
like
I
a
meant like the
phaser gun
Star
from
Trek
Star
phaser.
Trek.
Right.
Yeah, he's
Uh,
saying phaser PH, not
Uh,
FA.
Well, yeah, that's what
Is
the
it?
guitar pedal is too.
Oh,
But
I
no,
thought
I
guitar
just
pedal was spelled
wrote
different.
I just wrote I hated the pew pews. That's all I put because it just keeps going pew pew.
It almost sounds like the asteroids laser effect.
Have you guys ever seen the YouTube counts where they count stormtroopers shots, which ones hit and which ones miss?
No.
It's incredible. You should look up that video sometime. But I did like the groove, and this song had a lot of lyrical ingenuity, which I really like.
Yeah, I think it had a great beat too. Really, the tie-in from the ending of the last track being like, "Oh, put up your weapon, Doom. I don't care anymore," and then you just hear him firing lasers all throughout this track. I think it's awesome. I think it's a really cool way to like tie in everything that's going on throughout your album.
Yeah, the main sample is It a Crime by, I'm going to probably say this wrong because Steven kept telling me I was saying it wrong, but it's either Sade or Sade or however you say that band.
I thought it was Sade, but
If Steven was here, he could
Carson, it
correct
was
you.
one of your Song of the Days. You picked that band before. But
Yeah, but I don't know how to say their name.
yeah. But and the biggest problem I found with this beat is that I like the original song better. I like the sample better. But this song is also really cool. It's got the Spider-Man sample at the end.
Mm-hmm.
It's sick.
Google says Shade.
Okay, that's what
Should they?
Steven kept telling me.
Yeah,
but
Shade.
no, that
I never
feels so
believed-
much more correct.
Although a lot of people put an R in the middle and say Sade. So I would have said Sade, but apparently it's Shade.
That's what I thought it was, but
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah. Another great flow track. It was tragic that he could not afford to cop a cherry Coke, and he does refer to himself as the hip hop Hendrix. And I agree. He's very good. Yeah.
Is that all we got?
Sorry, it's half of her middle name. Her middle name is like full of Sade, so that's why it's like it looks weird, but it's because it's like a shortened name.
Oh,
Sorry, Google teaches me a lot sometimes. It was neat.
all right. Let's get into track number 11, Guinnesses, featuring Angelica and I don't know how to say this, but 4E's.
I did not have it written down. Hold on.
It's 4IZE. That's all it is.
Probably 4 eyes, like if you have glasses.
Oh, four
Yeah.
eyes. Yeah.
That's probably right.
10 out of 10.
I give this one a 7.
I have a 9 written down, but I'm gonna give it a 9.5.
10 out of 10.
These features, man,
Mhm.
it's beautiful. The entire track is beautiful. Like, the flow, absolutely insane. I love that we get MF Doom singing, because at first I was like, when I first heard it, I was like, that's bad. I don't like this. That's like, he's bad at singing. He shouldn't be doing this. And then I realized after, listening to the album 10 times in a week, you know what? No, I actually do like it.
Yeah, I just thought that it was too long. Like, I get that you need to do it to have all of the features and all of that stuff, but like, they could have changed the sample or made it considerably less obnoxious. I did like the intro. I just thought it just went on too long. I just got bored.
This is the one where I noticed how much of the Electric Company was sampled throughout this whole album. I think that might be the intro one. I could be wrong about that. He's also got Scooby-Doo one at the end. But yeah, no, Carson said most of it. The features and just vocally and lyrically killed it on this song.
Pretty sure Bert and Ernie also made an appearance on this track.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yep.
But yeah, it's just, oh gosh, it's so good. And it's also kind of a relatable song to most people, where it's just talking about going through all these different substances to forget the pain, and then it says some chicks are just too hard to wife, and that's valid. This is how it be sometimes.
Okay, so I have a question for you guys, and also the YouTube general audience. Were Bert and Ernie brothers at one point, or am I just remembering that wrong?
I'm
No,
pretty
I think
sure
they're
they
all-
were always gay lovers.
No, they were always just roommates,
Okay.
They slept in
They
the
were
same
roommates.
beds
but
Okay.
they're roommates.
for 30 years.
They're roommates.
I mean, they were common law married a long time
I
ago.
was
It's
gonna say,
fine.
it's your aunt's special friend on the farm.
Mm-hmm.
It's Bert.
Sorry, I just specifically remembered them being like brothers in the lore. Also, they take baths together.
That,
Like,
yeah,
you know,
exactly. They're not
people do.
brothers. Also, Oscar the Grouch is
they
orange.
always say they're roommates because they can't. They weren't able to say anything else.
Yeah.
So,
They should come out now.
I think they have
they have.
at this point. I think,
Have they?
I
Yeah,
think
they
they
have.
have at this point.
I
Yeah,
accept
they definitely
Bert
have.
and Ernie. That's good for them.
Makes me wonder
Glad
about
to hear
Rubber
it.
Well,
Ducky.
not anymore.
Robert Ducky's got some horror stories.
They got rid of PBS, so we don't
Oops.
get that no more. Elmo's dead.
Rest in peace, Elm.
He couldn't pay rent. All right, let's move on to track number 12. Con Queso, 8.5 out of 10.
Ooh, I gave this one a 9.
Give this one an 8.
All you were wrong. It's a 10.
I have one note. Yeehaw. That's it.
The energy was up, the groove was back, and then I really liked the amount of samples in it. I like when he would kind of lead up to something and just drop in the sample perfectly. It felt like, this is going to sound really stupid, it felt like a YouTube video someone edited really well with pop culture references. But except this is way, way before that, and this is kind of the thing that led to some of that. But
This is the jump cuts.
yeah, jump cuts, there you go. It was just great. This is the one that I wish had like started the album so that I would have felt better about the rest of it.
This is one of a couple of songs here that has a bass that you can hear, and it's great. There's also great energy on this track, and another. I should have written it down every time it happened, but another example of him ripping the beat from himself. This beat came off of one of his other mixtapes. I did not write down which one.
Yeah, everything about this was just great. There is a line about stealing Mary Jane from the webhead. Great line. And I really latched on to the story by this one because my ending notes just say Tomb nominated for world leader. Sounds unanimous to me. I was just all about it. It sucked me in. I felt like a 6-year-old watching that cartoon. Or more like I felt like a 30-year-old watching that cartoon that he watched when he was 6. And that's a weird feeling to get.
Sorry, I was trying to decide if I'm more of a MJ or I think I'm still on the Gwen train for Spider-Man. Sorry.
Gwen was always better. It's just Mary Jane stuck around longer.
I mean, it's kind of hard to stick around when you're 6 feet under.
Green Goblin was a menace at that time. Got her pregnant, then
Got her pregnant, then made Spider-Man snap her neck. Crazy.
Yeah, and then told Peter. He was like, "Hey, she was pregnant, by the way, dude, and it was mine." That's what happened.
Isn't that crazy? Imagine your. Oh my god! I can't even say that out loud. Wow.
That's why I've always been a big supporter of Black Cat for Spider-Man. That's who he should be with. She can live the lifestyle.
Not Ultimate Spider-Man. A little crazy.
He's nuts.
Dude, which character did Zendaya play?
MJ.
Not Mary Jane. It was like something.
Michelle Jones.
Yeah. A completely new, made-up character, kinda. I think.
Nice. Well, it happens.
All right. Well, let's get into song number 13. Rap Snitch Knishes. I give this a 10 out of 10.
I give this one an 8 3/4.
10 out of 10.
10 out of 10.
I feel like objectively it's a 10 out of 10. Almost. Not to dismiss you, Carl.
No, I liked the anger in it a lot. I love angry music, and he's so angry the entire time. That made me so happy.
I think it's just the feature one. Mr. Fantastic is quite fantastic here.
That's the first note I have is both verses are fantastic, spelled the way he does.
Of course.
Mr. Stretchy Man.
It's just insane how good it is.
Well, I've been waiting. I prepared myself. Said it in my head 4 or 5 times. Sorry.
What?
We'll explain that later.
Yeah, that's
It's very ingrained in our brains one way.
it's very much a not I can say on air.
That makes it sound worse.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason this song has been blown up the way it has. I think this beat is perfect. And as I said earlier, both beats are fantastic. And this is where I put the 4 picture up in the Monday, Wednesday reel.
Can we get the Absolute Cinema Jeff picture? That may be my favorite.
Yeah,
Never in my life did I see Connor throwing up the 4 on cams. That's crazy.
It's the picture of Mr. Fantastic.
Can we get that screenshot in the group chat tonight?
We have broken
gonna have
so
to.
many. We've broken so many things this episode.
Do you guys also hear the Abyss opening?
A truck drove by.
What's happening?
I don't-
anymore?
okay.
We need Mr. Fantastic to come through and save us.
Yeah, we really do. All my notes are that this song has been talked about since I found it 10 years ago, and they've all said the same thing, that it's goated. So go watch any other like hour in-depth review into this song. It's better than anything I can say
Watch our hour in-depth review.
of this whole album,
Yeah.
and then go watch that one song review for just this song, even though it didn't make my top 3.
Who played guitar on this? Do you know? Because it's good.
I'm not sure.
I didn't.
It says it on the back of my album.
Let's see it.
It's from Dave Matthews' cover of David Bowie's Space Odyssey.
Do we have anything else to say about this legendary track? I feel like at this point it's really stood the test of time. That's all you could really ask for from a song, right?
Yeah.
All right, well, let's get into track number 14, Vomit Spit. I gave it a 9 out of 10.
I gave this one an 8.
Gave it a 9 out of 10.
Gave it a 9 out of 10.
It's the flow for me in this one. Good Lord, his flow is insane. We've been saying it the whole album. All of the beats are crazy. All of the beats are super good. The sampling. Is this the one where at the end, like, somebody's trying to warn them about Doom, and he starts coughing, and he's like, "Oh, I actually love that guy."
I think so.
Yeah, I think
And
so.
hearing it, like, just hearing the shift in the samples of like this coughing beat and all the way through, I think it's really cool.
For me, this is the most impressive flow on the entire album by like a lot. It's a little bit faster, I think, than most other tracks on here, and it keeps up great. The one single issue I have with this is the bell sample. If it didn't hit every 4, it would be perfect, but it gets really annoying towards like the 3-minute mark. And if it could just switch it up a little bit, this would have been a 10 easy.
I don't really have anything. I just have that the energy was still up and I like the drum sample. At this point in the album, I was thoroughly enjoying it, just trying to, trying to enjoy it and not necessarily listen critically.
Yeah, I mean, we hit everything. The bell synth I enjoyed, but yeah, it did go on a little while long.
I liked it for like the first couple minutes, and then it didn't have to hit every time.
Mhm.
That's really all. If it just went one loop every other, if it hit every other loop, like for the second half, it would have been fine.
Oh yeah, and then also it was not mentioned yet that he threw the word laboratory in and pulled it off, and that's just downright diabolical.
He said something else, like
Something,
just a
and then
couple
horror
bars.
story was the ending rhyme.
Didn't he say like crack whore before that? Like he went from laboratory to crack whore to horror story,
Something.
which is crazy. That's just bars.
When was Dexter's Lab on?
Around this time.
I was
Yes,
gonna
it-
say this is 2004.
Yeah, because that's like the only
It's like
time I can think
03.
of someone pronouncing it like that. I know he's like
Laboratory.
British American, but
Yeah, but I mean, he did that Adult Swim album, so
Aqua Teen Hunger Force. Yeah.
yeah. So that was the other funny thing about listening to MF Doom for the first time is when I turned it on, I was immediately like, man, this gives me like throwbacks to Aqua Teen Hunger Force, and I looked it up and I was like, oh, that's why.
Yep. The Mouse and the Mask is an amazing album, and I recommend you go listen to it.
yeah, I'm listening to that tomorrow.
Yeah, no, I
Very good.
actually tend to like Danger Mouse. So weird.
All right, well, let's get into the last track of the album. Track number 15, Cookies. I gave it an 8 out of 10.
Also gave this one an 8.
8.5.
Gave it a 9.
I liked how crunchy the drum sample was.
Yeah.
This was the time I needed the crunch in my life. Was also just very high energy. I enjoyed the whole like back half of the album.
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely see that. I mean, I feel like when everybody gets into Doom, like the first couple times you listen to him, it can be a little bit off-putting because it's so all over the place at first. But like once you got to this point, you know everything's good. You're sitting back, you're relaxing, you're chilling, you're listening to music, and this track just hits you with it. The beat sick, flow sick, sample sick. What more could I ask for?
I got one thing to ask for.
Hmm.
This song on its own is great. My one issue with this song comes with it being the ending. I think for most of the song, it doesn't sound like the end, which is a weird note to bring up. But for like the first, until it gets to the sample at the end, after that, I'm like, yeah, this is the end. But the beat before that doesn't sound like it's about to end.
That is true. It kind of like pushes you into a place of, oh, this is gonna keep going.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man. It just kind of reminds me of like Saturday morning cartoons because they would just like cut them and then like speed roll the credits on one side while the other show was starting. On that's kind of it made sense on this album. I think.
Yeah, it was great. This one had a really fun bass line to it.
Yup.
I did not remember to take notes for like half of this song because I was just so locked in on enjoying it. But by the end, Doom is master of the world. I think, is it this song or the last song where the Thing is like kind of racist? But
It's this song.
It's wildly hilarious. It's great. All right.
He likes that he's black. All right, well, let's get into pacing. I gave pacing a 8 out of 10, but I think I'm going to bump it up to a 9.
I think you were right first. I gave it an 8.
10 out of 10.
10 out of 10.
I could also see 10. I think the only part where it gets a little mucky for me is the commercial break, but also I like that in the concept of the album. I guess it just that's the only bit where I'm like, that's the only bit I falter on.
I get the concept of it and like it all makes sense. I just think for me the whole holdback is since this was my first time listening to Doom, it was just a lot. It was a lot to digest.
Yeah, you probably should have started with like an EP or like a Czarface feature or something.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it makes sense. The way it's all laid out makes sense. Man, it was just, especially the way the album is laid out. I think that's why it got the pacing score it did, because like this is an unusual one where it feels very backloaded. And I did like some of the beginning of the album too. It feels like all of the meat is on the back, which is kind of a weird thing for an album. Usually it should be 2/3 in or so, the golden ratio.
I get that, but I also have the opposite opinion where I think it is equally loaded minus the commercial break, but there's like a reason for that to be there. I think it did exactly what it set out to do, pacing wise.
Yeah, as someone, as you guys know, has been going through the Saturday morning cartoon journey of waking up very early and watching one of these like classic 60s shows, it sucks to not have a commercial break in there, and that's like the biggest complaint for most people off this album, and I think it fit perfectly. All of it made sense. I do want to just sit on the floor with my legs crisscrossed with a bowl of cereal and listen to this album, and I don't think there's anything it sets out to do more than that.
All right, well, let's move on to album art. You know what? Yeah, I'm just gonna give this album art a 10 out of 10.
I'm going to give it an 8.
10 out of 10.
10 out of 10.
There's so many cool references inside of it. I had it as a 9 out of 10 just from looking at it on my phone, but seeing the actual vinyl in person is amazing. I have the 20th anniversary one, and I think the art on there is pretty good. It's like a 9 out of 10 for me, but that's a 10 out of 10. I love that the Thing is in the cereal bowl.
Yeah, I didn't even notice that on my iPhone. I turned around and saw the Thing sitting in the cereal. It's great. There's also art on the inside of that. That's just, I don't know where the heck it came from.
You want to show it real quick?
Yeah.
I'm going to slightly disagree with Carson. That one's 100% a 10, no question about it. I think this one's lower.
Lower than
Especially seeing them right next to each other. Oh, that's sick.
Wow. Wow, that's really cool.
Yeah, it's a 10. Go on.
I'm just uncomfortable. That's why. That's all.
I mean, does it look like he just took over the world? Not really, but it's an album pretty much called Food.
I mean, he's everywhere.
He's got some food.
Food. All right.
All right, I believe that brings us into our album overall. Overall, I'm going to give this a 9.5 out of 10.
I had it lower, but I'm going to round it up to an 8.
9 out of 10.
I give it a 10.
I can understand the 10, hopefully.
Yeah.
The only reason it's not getting a 10 for me is it loses a half a point during the commercial break, unfortunately. just because I feel like when I'm listening to this song or listening to this album, especially on digital, like I can't do this on vinyl, but on digital, it's so easy to just hit the skip button a couple times and just listen to like Gumbo in Fig Leaf Bicarbonate or the first one in Fig Leaf Bicarbonate. And that's my only gripe with it. I think it's a super good concept. He does it really well, and I don't know if we're ever gonna get something like close if somebody tries this again. You know, if somebody tries to replicate the feeling of, you know, early 60s cartoons and like Saturday morning cartoons, I feel like it won't be done as well as it's been done here.
I think it'll just look like someone did a reference to MF Doom.
Yeah.
I think it is so much made its mark with this album. I mean, a lot of people know this album and know the sound. So it's just, I think if anyone did the same thing now, especially if they were to do a rap album, it would, I mean, one, you'd have to say it was based off of, like, MF Doom was an inspiration. But that's what everyone's going to tie it to, so.
And it's... That just, like, confirms the statement. You know? If you make something that if anybody tries to make something similar, everybody's going to be like, oh, yeah, it's just... it's a reference to this thing, right? You've made it. Like, you've made the definitive version of the thing.
Yeah, it was just a lot for the first listen. I wrote down that the goodness of the back of the album doesn't make up for the weirdness of the front for me, and I think that's just because this is the first listen. You know, I think this is weirdness is the wrong word. The goofiness of everything is probably going to end up being a slow burn for me as I listen to some more Doom and explore this side of the genre a little more.
Yeah, what hasn't already been said? I was real close to giving this a 10. I think the only reason I didn't is because in this format specifically that we do here, the commercial break hurts it. I think on the album, in a non-analytical listen, it's a 10 out of 10. It's only a 9 because of the rules that are not hung up or made. We keep talking about it.
Rules book.
We keep talking about it, but we don't have it yet. But I think that's the only reason it's not a 10.
Yeah, I mean, it got a 10 just because of the circumstances I've been in. Like, if I was not watching Saturday morning cartoons, being really excited to wake up early and have that. And just, like I said, I mean, obviously the interlude there is the hang-up, the commercial break. But in my studies, it's needed. So, kudos to him. It's very rare that we have an album on the show where the second I'm done with it, I'm like, again. and this was one. It just, I wanted to go and just listen to it again. And, I mean, Carl's right. It's like, there's a lot of that weirdness, and it is a slow burn. But it's so fun to go back and listen to it once you get it, because then you just hear all the cool samples. You catch Bert and Ernie and all the Fantastic Four stuff, because it gets funnier and funnier and funnier as it goes. It's so fun.
It actually, funny enough, it reminded me a lot of like Shrek. It's one of those things that like you watch it and you're like, oh, that was pretty good, and you watch it the second time and you're like, whoa, and then you watch it the third time and you're like, oh, this is actually hilarious. And it's kind of funny because it made me think of when Shrek was in theaters. Like, adults were coming to see it 6 or 7 times for those reasons. You just it's one of those things. You catch more and more stuff, and it's awesome because it has layers.
Like an onion.
Like an onion.
All right, we ready?
Mm-hmm.
Next week, let's see what we got.
All right.
MF Doom again.
Hit it again. There we go. Next week, we will be listening to Pink Lemonade by Closure in Moscow. This one was mine. What?
I've totally sent you that thumbnail before.
I know. It's messing with me.
That was like months and months and months ago, but I sent you that thumbnail.
Welcome to the pre-show debate.
Yeah. This is a callback to
I
something you all didn't see.
I just saw that album art again. I was like, I definitely remember making that.
Oh yeah. You can finish now. So they come back to you later.
All right, we'll see you guys next week.
Don't forget to like and subscribe and all the good stuff. We appreciate you all.